let me summarize it real quick so this can be on record. The discussion from our assessing department was over the setting of this year's tax rate and whether or not we would shift the burden from a single tax rate on for everybody paying the same tax rate, or there would be a dual tax rate with residents in commercial industrial. So George took us through this document that is prepared for the public and showed these tax impacts, which still need to be approved by the Department of Revenue. However, we believe that this is correct and we'll submit it for approval, that the average value of homes went up by a small percentage this year. The average home going from 278,986 in value to 286,533, which with the new tax rate being proposed of 1 penny less than last year would have an average change in taxes in town be $110 for a single family home. And then condominiums saw a greater increase in value. So the average change in tax bill for a condominium would be $216. I'll show you, this is the tax rate that's being proposed for all classifications. Last year it was 1482. This year it is proposed to be 1481 pending Department of Revenue approval. So the board tonight voted to have a single tax rate, as has been tradition here in Hubbardston for its entirety. And the new tax rate will be 1481.
When will my board be notified of the nature of this report, please?
It should be tomorrow. So George will be sending it to you for review and signature.
So basically then at that point, it's just a rubber stamp issue?
The Board of Assessors is responsible for the submission of the tax rate and the assessing portion. It's up to the Board of Selectmen to decide whether or not there would be a shift. So the board isn't approving the tax rate tonight. They're approving the one single rate. And then the Board of Assessors must submit and approve the tax rate, which is your part of the deal.
Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Okay, anything else on this from anybody? No. Okay, so moving on, we reached old business. So the first that we have on here is 5A, which is the revised Hubbardston personnel policies, which we've had a chance to take a look at, and we've got a potential vote for. Ryan, you want to remind us and those who are listening or watching which ones apply?
Sure. So we looked at every single policy we have as part of a, we partnered with UMass Boston's McCormick Center for this process. So they came in and looked through our HR department, provided recommendations to this board in the fall for revamping our policies and procedures. And we also contracted with them to look at our policies, bring them up to date, and recommend some changes while working with me. So these are the result of that. It was grant funded, so we didn't pay for this. We applied for a grant to make sure that we were HR compliant, and we did that because our HR department is small. It's just me. So this is a project that is perfect for a grant type procedure. And this is the policies, all of them, that are being recommended or proposed to you based off the following process. So they sent us policies. I adapted them based off our existing policies and existing procedures. And then it went to the staff for their review. They had 2 to 3 weeks almost to review them and offer changes. I made changes to the policies and had them reviewed by the Collins Center for that. And then we sent them back out to the staff again for another week to make sure that they had a chance to see these and comment. So this is a collaborative process and the result of much effort. Dozens of policies here. Some of them did not change at all. Some of them changed just based off what's required legally. And then we made a few substantive changes, which I'll show you now. So
this is a sheet you've already shown us, right?
Yep. So the major policy changes are we've updated to current HR law and practices. We are further differentiating between part-time employees. We rely on part-time employees here in town, and those part-time employees work every week. They just don't have access to full-time benefits per federal, state, and local law. So we wanted to differentiate between those that come to work every week for the same amount of hours and those that are seasonal. We codified the annual review process of our comp and pen plan. We've been talking about that a lot, trying to get on a plan so that wages are paid and distributed fairly and in a way that the public and our board can understand. We've, as part of that codifying of these part-time employees, we've added some leave benefits, essentially paid holidays and 1 paid leave day a year. This is so that we can keep folks, and also it's difficult to budget for them and for them to have regular pay if we have holiday weeks, et cetera. So this is something that's been recommended. We're one of many towns to be looking at this, just some small benefits for our every week part-time employees. They also will be getting sick time. It's 1 hour for every 30 hours worked, so it doesn't accrue that heavily, but it does allow them to take a sick day here and there. Very important in the COVID environment, and also just provides them a level of protection for their employment, which allows us to keep them longer term than employees who are treated almost seasonally. We wanted to codify their evaluation process to make sure that that was solid, and we were properly mentoring our employees and making sure that they're following their job descriptions. We got rid of, or this will get rid of, all of your onesies and twosies policies that have been adopted to try and patch some holes and create one personnel guide. We also strengthened our discipline language. This helps protect both the town and the employee so that everybody's on the same page if discipline needs to happen. Fortunately, sometimes it does. And then non-union employees have a stronger grievance policy. Previously, anything I said went, which is not usually how this board likes to operate. They like to have a chance to weigh in an arbitrator type role. So non-union employees have the option now to go to you if they don't like my final decision. So there's some more protection for you, the town, and the employee by backing me up with an appeal process. So of all the policies that you saw, those are the major substantive changes from the previous policies and procedures to now. And as you remember from the HR report, our policies were scattered at best, so it was difficult to follow them. So really what we're doing is codifying a lot of the things we were doing anyway, and then adding these small benefits for our part-time employees.
Okay, thanks. That's a ton of work from everybody. So, I guess, we're up if everyone, I guess feels comfortable, but it's available for us to make a motion tonight to accept the revised Hubbardston personnel policies, which I guess we'll see if we are. Somebody want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion to accept the revised Hubbardston personnel policies.
I'll second that.
Okay, seconded. We're in discussion. Anything to discuss? Questions? Okay, seeing none, we're at a vote. It'll be roll call. So Dan, yes. Jeff?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Okay, it is unanimous. Thanks, and thanks, Ryan.
Glad that project's over. Now we can just
Yeah.
execute it. It's a long project.
Okay, next item is 5B, which is board and committee vacancies. This is sort of our annual and town-wide reminder of that we still need more people to help out if they can. So you've got a list for us?
Yeah, so it started with Lori, and then Bobby have done a great job shifting us to a software-based solution to track our town membership on boards and commissions and vacancies. So we can answer questions for you very quickly on what vacancies do we have. And a lot of people ask us, how can I serve the town? We can now send this or give this report to you pretty quickly. It was quite a bit of work for Bobby, and really respect the efforts she put into it in learning the system and making it friendly for reporting and dealing with my constant questions. So this is the result of that. So you can now see, and at any time can ask us, and we update this as you make your appointments and I make my appointments. So it is updated in real time. So this is a report that's available to you. So A, we wanted to show it to you, and B, like you said, we wanted to advertise a couple openings. So the ZBA has an opening. The Agricultural Commission, unfortunately, lost Kathy Hansgate, who was a big champion. So they're looking for a couple openings. The way I said that was a little funny. She resigned. That's why she's not on it anymore. We didn't lose her. The Agricultural Commission lost a great asset when she didn't have the time for it anymore. The Cable Advisory Committee has an opening. The CPC has a couple openings. Some opening for constable. Fire department, we're always looking for call firefighters. The Housing Authority only has 2 people on it, so they don't have a quorum. So we could use folks to volunteer for that. And then the Memorial Day Committee, and we lost a lot of steam on the Memorial Day Committee when we lost Memorial Day this year. So we could use some new folks, maybe some veterans or those who support veterans to join in the Memorial Day Committee planning. If we can't do a Memorial Day this year, we certainly want to do something. So it'd be nice to have a committee. Open Space has a spot, and then we have a big one on the planning board. They're having difficulties with quorum because we need someone to serve there. So if this board could reach out to those people it knows to see if anybody wants to volunteer for just a half year now, for many, to see if they like it. We'll also advertise again to the town and try and fill some of these positions.
Okay, so is this a document that'll be, sent out, yeah, not just available to a link, but actually sent out maybe to a wider audience?
Yes, and it can be, the report can be done in many ways. It can be appointed, it can be elected. It has a lot of versatility. We can print the report however people want it. So we'll send something to our volunteer groups, see if we can get more volunteers. We'll strip out the paid employees and make it user friendly.
Okay, great. Thanks for the update. Thanks, Bobby. All right, well, we're back to you with the town administrator report. I'm sure, as usual, we've gone through a few of these things, but what do you got for us?
Okay, let me call that up quickly. So I've already spoken to the COVID in the original part of this, but because of the recording, I'll just say quickly that Hubbardston's now a great community, according to the state. The formula was changed. You'd need 25 active cases or 25 case incident per 100,000 to be a red town, which would be difficult for us to hit. So if we turn red, there would be significant commentary and questions about service delivery levels. So we want to do everything we can to mitigate the spread of COVID in our community, keeps our schools open, keeps our services running, and keeps our residents safe, most importantly. There's a link on this this report that would allow you to see the community level data.
We don't see anything, by the way.
Share that with you now. This link brings you to a pretty extensive report that shows you how we track data at the state and local level every week. It's published on Thursdays and drives a lot of our decision making. Some of the, just a reminder, so in a candid conversation about COVID, we get comments on both sides. We get comments that say, there's no way you can tell me that I need to wear a mask. And we get comments that say, can you please tell everyone that they need to wear a mask? So we get it on both sides, and we understand that there are differences of opinions. So these advisories that come from the state are best practices for mitigating spread and allowing us to do life the way that we're trying to do at the government level. So our goal is to educate folks and to try and get people to understand that there are differences in opinions, right? It's not to write tickets and to yell at folks for not following the rules. We're getting just a lot of emails about it, and I just wanted to put that out there publicly that we are looking to work with people and looking to keep the community safe. We are not looking to enforce regulations in an overly burdensome way. So some of the things that we are looking for folks to follow the advisories on is mask wearing, social distancing, and limited gatherings. Everybody has a right to public spaces, especially our parks and our town offices, et cetera. So in those spaces, we're asking people certainly to follow the mask rules, just so everyone feels safe. Those who are disabled, those who have complicating conditions, and those that are perfectly healthy that want to use that space have the right to do so, as does anybody. And it's a difficult conversation, and I just want to keep having it so that the folks see that we are struggling with it like everyone else, and doing the best we can to keep everyone safe. Okay, on the dispatch side, the down department side, I have an update from our dispatch department that's actually old now. We got more updates today. So the engineering and the survey is done, which will lead to an engineering report that will allow us to install the concrete pad, hopefully by the end of the month. And the DPW broke ground today and helped clear for the placement of this tower. So that's definitely a good first step and a good sign that we are moving towards installing this tower, solving some of our dispatch communication problems, and hopefully adding cell service to this, which will help town residents during COVID. It'll help public safety and certainly help some of our businesses as well. So you'll see the DPW working across from the pallet shop in the town-owned land, starting to clear, and that's what they're doing down there.
Hey, Ryan, so, we've talked about it a lot. And I know that the cell RFP or whatever it's going to be to find out whether or not we can get cell service to be added to that tower comes obviously after the tower's up. But do we need to wait until it's all the way up before we begin that process, or has that discussion happened, meaning something in that happens in parallel with the construction so that there's not like a indeterminable amount of time between when it gets built and when service might be possible?
It is owned by the regional dispatch center of the tower. So we are following their rules in this. The idea is to advocate for doing it simultaneously, but after the final engineering and all of it has been, and permitting has been signed off on. So I do believe it'll happen before the tower is fully up, but not until we're starting to put up the tower, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's great. Okay.
Okay, back to the. So I have been authorized direct access to the project manager for that site, who's promised to send me monthly reports on their statuses, so I can include this as part of my report to you and keep you updated on the progress of this pretty important project for our town. Okay, we talked about the tax rate process. I'm in the final financial management section of my report. You've seen the new tax rate is 1 penny less than last year, and the average tax bill will be increasing by 110. So where this goes now, it goes to the state. They review all the work our assessor and finance team have done. And if it's approved, then that sets the tax rate and allows us to bill folks for the final quarters of the year, which is an actual tax bill that you get in early January. I also am finalizing guidance to the departments on submitting their FY22 budgets. So yes, we're starting the FY22 budget process. That will begin at the end of the month, and I should be able to compile all the requests before the Christmas holiday, and then get the first parts of the town administrator budget together in early January, or mid to late January, I should say. We're also working with myself, Chief Perrin, the DPW, and the police unions to finalize contracts, and we're trying to do that before the budget process so we can have real numbers to use in what's going to be a difficult budget year. I alluded to earlier. Sure.
You mentioned that we have to submit that tax rate to the state for their approval. What are some reasons why it may not get approved? What's your confidence level that it will get approved, and why may it not be approved?
So there's many factors that go into setting the tax rate. Generally speaking, it's what the town voted in terms of a budget, what the land is worth. So that's the assessing department's function. And those combine to say, if you need this much money to fund your approved budget, how is that divvied up amongst the residents in terms of a tax rate based off of their home value? So all of those calculations have forms that are attached to it to make sure that it's done correctly. The forms are heavily audited and regulated by the Department of Revenue. So we work through these forms. We work with the Department of Revenue to get them correct. So by the time we submit them, they've already been looked at and are at a 90 to a 95% solution. They just go through the final pieces to make sure we did it right. If we didn't do it right, they'd send it back to us and work with us to fix it. So one of our goals this year was to start this process earlier so we're not under the gun in December to get this done. So having the classification hearing in early November, submitting the tax rate now, if there's any issues, we can work it out before December 1st and have plenty of time. So we were able to hit that goal, which is great, which is credit to our assessing department and Sandy and our finance team and Kelly. But they would deny it if we did something wrong.
So based on our interpretation of what they require, we've come up with that number. Now we submit it to them to see if we interpreted what they want correctly, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Love the questions. Love the questions about municipal finance. It's my favorite. So talking about infrastructure. So I alluded that I met with your CIPC. That's a great group. I encourage people to come to those meetings. Capital can be boring to some, but then they become sort of the most spirited budget discussions as people talk about how to fund our capital plan, how to fund the things that help us provide services. So the CIPC is starting that process. They have all the requests from the town departments and boards and committees. And as you remember, we have less resources in terms of free cash. So they're going to give you a strong recommendation on what they think should be funded now and what should be pushed and what resources we should use. That recommendation will help you plan and make decisions on what to bring to the town in terms of a capital budget.
When are they on the agenda?
We would be presenting that plan to you in early January.
Okay.
So they have 2 or 3 more meetings before, right now they're going to reach out to the town departments, work on them to understand their requests, come back, deliberate, finalize a report and give that to you in early January.
Okay.
So the other piece of that is you ask them to look at the municipal building space problem, which is it's a much longer and more detailed conversation, but they took it up. They want to continue to discuss it. They really talked about incrementalizing the process. So what would the town support at its smallest level, meaning can you move one department and just start the process going is where they're beginning the conversation. So that might look like pulling the police department out of the Slade building and then seeing what the impacts of that would be and then adding on, et cetera. So I know there'll be a lot of comments about that. I'm just trying to show you the initial conversation and the depth of the way they're attacking this problem for you. And they'll be coming to you and it'll be a deliberative process, but it's good trench work that they can do to help you kickstart a conversation, as you said, about meeting your goals of addressing this problem somehow. And then we will award our exhaust mitigation system contract this week. We were very thorough with in a very difficult procurement process with our engineers. So we're looking to get that project started soon, which will help keep our fire department members safe. Right now, there's no way to mitigate the exhaust in both the fire department building and the ambulance building. So that was voted on a long time ago, and we're looking to get that done very soon. Okay, you've heard me talk about the finance team a lot. I just want to talk for a minute about Sandy. So Sandy is sort of the glue of our finance team. She was brought in by Brian before me. I think it was one of the better decisions the town has made in the last 5 to 6 years. So she keeps the town running. That's what tax collectors do. They're not always the most popular because they have to make decisions about taxes, but she's worked really hard to modernize our payroll, modernize our tax collection and reporting systems. She helped with the transition to VADAR, and all of this has turned into a lot of the transparency and a lot of the reporting that you're getting from us now. So she also worked really hard, and this is something that the board has been very interested in over the last few years on the tax title process. So our tax title process that she inherited was messy. It was resulting in collection rates that were still pretty good, but could have been better, and those resources are definitely needed. She's brought those up to date. She's brought reconciliation processes up to date. She works really hard, more time than she should. Often have to kick her out and tell her to take a vacation. So she just puts her head down and works and does a great job for the town. She doesn't get a lot of recognition for it, and she probably likes that, but I wanted to call her out and just say that the town's pretty lucky to have Sandy, someone who's that dedicated to this position. And she goes above and beyond a lot, and you in the town should know that.
Okay, that's great. Thanks for the thorough report once again, and thanks to Sandy for all she does, which we do know, and hopefully she blushes.
We will. We'll put it on a big sign with her face on it.
Okay, well, we've got a few items. I don't think we have anything for them, but I'll read them anyway. We've got item 7, which is policies to review, which I believe we sort of took care of already with our personnel policies. 8, which is appointments and resignations, which I don't see any. 9 is wage authorization. So those 3 items don't have anything that should be added in here, right, Ryan?
Nope, and I'll just tell you, because I could see it on your faces how much everyone loves policy all the time, but you only have 2 policies left to review, and you've reviewed all of them. So that's a big goal you hit. You did a lot of work on it. So there's only 2 left, and they're easy decisions. So you're done by the end of the year.
Well, no, we're not going to do those 2. We're just going to leave 2.
Okay, that'll just drive me nuts. But
Yeah, I know. That was the point. Okay, so we've got item 10, which is minutes to approve, November 2nd. Do you have those so that we can just refresh our memories on who was there?
just call it up quickly.
I think all of us, right?
Yes, all of you were present.
Okay,
Make the motion to approve the select board minutes for the meeting on November 2nd, 2020.
I'll second that.
okay. Seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. Roll call. Dan, yes. Jeff?
Yes,
Chris?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes,
Okay, it's unanimous. On to item 11, which is committee updates. I don't have any. Does anyone have any committee updates they want to add in here? Nope. And item 12 is matter is not reasonably anticipated by the chair. I don't have any. Does anyone have anything they want to bring up? Nope. And we have item 13, which is the public and press question and answer. So this will be the final item we go into in public session before we discuss a vote to go into executive sessions. Any public or press or any questions come in, Ryan, that you know of?
I am seeing none.
Okay, sounds good. So that sort of concludes the public portion of our meeting as far as agenda items are concerned.
should I make a motion then to adjourn? Are we ready for that? Okay, to then move into executive session?
You have to vote to move into executive session, not to adjourn.
Well, no, I'm saying to adjourn the public meeting right now with the intent of, as we usually word that, moving into executive session without the intent of coming back into the public.
Yeah, I'll call it up so you can read it here.
I've got it also. I got a copy.
Beautiful.
So I'll make the motion to adjourn the public meeting with the intent of moving into executive session under general laws, chapter 38, section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares.
I declare.
New England Police Benevolent Association, Incorporated, Local 0092, and the Town of Hubbardson Police Department, Teamsters Union Local 170, and the Hubbardson DPW, Police Chief Dennis Perron, and Town Administrator Ryan McLean. Subject, when we adjourn from the executive session, will be without the intent of going back into public.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's seconded. Is there any discussion? Questions? Seeing none, we'll vote. Roll call. Dan, yes. Jeff?
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
and Katie.
Yes.
Okay, it's unanimous, and we are entering executive session. So Ryan, want to put the conditions in place for that, please?